We'll stand for the flag salute, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll have the invocation by the Reverend Jim Pratt.
Almighty and good God, we thank you for this gathering tonight. We pray that this room would be filled with your wisdom, your direction. May your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And may we be people of truth and peace. May the things that are important to you be important to us in this place. Thank you that you have raised up people, men and women that care for their community, for this place, and for its people. And we pray a great amount of wisdom and humility and action that would be honoring to you and uplifting to your people here. We pray it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. We're opening public input now. Any last call for public input? Seeing none, we'll move on. We have a proclamation from the DARE, or to the DARE people. Office of the Mayor, City of Pittsburgh, Kansas, proclamation. Whereas the Drug Abuse Resistance Education, the DARE program, was formed in 1983 as a collaboration between the Los Angeles Police Department and the Los Angeles Unified School District to create a drug resistance program for elementary school students. And in 1991, the Pittsburgh Police Department, the DARE program, pilot program was established with one police officer at one elementary school. And today, the Pittsburgh Police Department's DARE program includes all 4 elementary schools in USD 250, as well as St. Mary's Elementary School, with each school being assigned a separate and distinct DARE officer. And whereas, over the past 32 years, the Pittsburgh Police Department's DARE officers have provided classroom lessons to thousands of 5th grade students, teaching them how to resist peer pressure and live productive, drug and violence-free lives. And whereas the City of Pittsburgh would like to recognize the valuable partnership between our DARE officers, local educators, parents, and students. Now therefore, I, Ron Sigley, Mayor of the City of Pittsburgh, do hereby proclaim April 20th, 2023 as DARE Day in Pittsburgh and commend our DARE officers for their dedication to teaching our children decision-making skills which will help them lead safe and healthy lives.
So I do want to say a few things. I want to appreciate the commissioners and the mayor to make this proclamation possible. It's really for the community and the youth of the community. I've been in DARE for 2 years now, and I absolutely love the children. And this is to really help the community in a way and let it be known that April 20th is now DARE Day for the city of Pittsburgh, and teaching them one DARE day at a time. Thank you very much. And thank you.
We'll move on to the consent agenda. I believe we have one pull off, and that's F. We'll entertain a motion to accept the others.
I'll make a motion.
Motion second.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded that we accept all others. Those who wish to say so by aye.
Roll call.
Roll call. Oh, it's a roll call. I didn't. Roll call. Roll call. Okay, roll call.
Brooks?
Oh, yes.
Height?
Yes.
McNay? Yes. Munsell?
Yes.
Sigley?
Yes. Oh, I see it. Okay, Cheryl?
Oh, you want to read it or Blake?
I can read it.
Okay.
Approval of the Economic Development Advisory Committee, EDAC, recommendations to forgive the Pittsburgh State University Foundation's 2021 and 2022 loan payments for the build-out of the Block 22 restaurant/retail space as the requirements for forgiveness have been satisfied.
Hi, Blake.
Hi.
I just wanted to know, for the past 3 years, 20, 21, and 22,
Correct.
you're at 60,000 a year for 3 years so far?
65% occupancy.
No, I meant as far as the.
Oh,
the
yes, I'm sorry.
So
Yeah,
you're at
correct.
180 and you still have 120 to go for this year and next year then?
No, it was $60,000 total, so that was forgiven in five, or no, I'm
In-
sorry. No,
in
you're right.
five
Yeah,
increments.
$300,000 total. correct.
Okay, so right now we're sitting at 180?
Correct.
And
Yes, ma'am.
that's good.
Yes.
And I'm glad to see Salsa Burrito in there.
Yeah,
And
Daryl's
so we
worked
have no
hard.
vacancies in Block 22
that would be
right now.
correct. The west side would be completely full.
And so 2023 and 2024 is just what's left, and that's a good thing.
It is.
And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all. Move to approve.
Okay, been moved and seconded. All say so by the roll call.
Brooks.
Yes.
Height.
Yes.
McKnight. Yes. Mansell.
Yes.
Sigley.
Yes. Public hearing, Small Cities Community Development Block Grant Program Public Hearing. The City of Pittsburgh advertised for a public hearing to be held on Tuesday, April 11, 2023, at 5:30 PM for the purpose of considering an application to be submitted on behalf of Point Forward Incorporated to the Kansas Department of Commerce for Small Cities Community Development Block Grant funds in the nonprofit child care and education facilities category for a child care facility to be constructed at Locust and Rose Streets.
Mayor and Commissioners, hi. And most of our, or not most of, many of our grants require the city commission to go through a couple of steps prior to the actual grant being submitted. And this is one of those. In this case, it's a CDBG grant, requires a public hearing. Today was the day we advertised for it. So this is the main purpose of this item is a public hearing that's required by the grantor to make sure that you're following all of their rules. There's a couple other forms that we have to fill out. This is all that we do that's included with the application. This is Point Forward is applying for a $750,000 grant from CDBG for completion of the Washington School project. That's going to be a daycare. So, and this is a public hearing period.
You have to
We
open
have
the,
any comments on the public hearing? Nothing from the public. All right. Move on.
close the public hearing.
Well,
Okay.
close the public hearing then.
Yes. And if you have any questions, I'm not writing this grant. This grant is being actually prepared by the Southeast Kansas Regional Planning Commission. They have a couple of excellent grant writers there, but I will try to answer any questions I can if you have any about it.
All righty. Thank you, sir.
I'd make a motion to table this application submittal grant.
This, what you're talking about?
Yeah. Table the grant.
I don't think this is just a public hearing, right?
No, there's an
Action?
action item in addition to after the public hearing.
So what, Jay, you might specifically explain what we're being asked to do today?
There's several documents associated with the grant that that is required that this mayor will sign. So it's kind of listed in the agenda item.
But this is to start the process to send a grant.
We can't send the grant without the public hearing, and then we want to get these documents signed so we can move forward with the application. We're not guaranteed to get the grant in any way. This
So
is
that's
just so we
what
can
my
apply
motion
for it.
is, to table this application tonight.
I'd ask this, Jay, are all the elements of what it takes to apply for the grant, have they been met?
We do have some things to tie up yet. The grant's due on the 1st of May. So this, again, you'll also be asked to approve this once if you're not approving accepting the grant yet. You're just agreeing to apply for the grant.
Well-
Down the road, we can apply for you can decide that if you don't want to accept the grant.
I understand that, but I make this motion on a per request I had this morning to table any further action on this. My next question has Dr. Udis signed a lease agreement with Point Forward to occupy the Washington School or this new building with the daycare
The provider agreement has not been signed yet, but we anticipate having a provider agreement signed, by the time we apply for it.
Well, my understanding, that's not going to happen, so that's why I made this motion, per
Well-
request.
Let me put it this way, if we don't have a signed lease agreement, we can't apply.
That's right.
But-
I understand that.
But if you stop it now, we
There's no
can't,
chance.
we can't,
Yeah.
right?
Well, this is the request I had.
We can table it till next meeting? Or is there a date that has to be turned in?
Yeah, we have to have everything ready by, it would,
What's the date?
the actual application date is the 1st of May, but
So we had to have the public hearing tonight in order to potentially meet the grant requirement May 1st. So we will have another opportunity at our next meeting to approve or disapprove the actual grant. This is just setting in motion the opportunity for us to consider a grant. So I don't,
yeah, you have plenty of opportunity to not accept this grant. I mean, there's,
but if we don't do this tonight, there is no opportunity to submit a grant.
I guess it's a
If you're still in the time frame, though?
well, it's possible, I guess we could do it at the last meeting of the
No,
month, but.
You have to have a, yeah. I mean, we have to have the public hearing by the 17th. We
Well-
have to have a special meeting.
Yeah, we had the public hearing, this is,
Okay, so that meets that requirement?
that meets that requirement, all right. But we still have some paperwork that we have to fill out, and there's still some other, there's some final things to get done, as there usually is with most grants.
What is Commissioner Munsell trying to hold? I don't understand.
I had a request this morning per phone call to not take any action on this tonight. The lease has not been signed, probably won't be signed, so I don't understand why we move forward. That's what I was requested to ask, not to take any action on it.
And that was by somebody that was going to potentially sign the lease?
Right, exactly.
Well, there's 5 other providers in town that could potentially sign that. Just keep in mind, the Community Development Corporation is a community development corporation. It's not the city, it's the community. They are basically raising money, and this grant would be part of it, to build a building. That building would then be potentially leased to a provider. And it sounds like Dr. Eustace is one of those potential providers. But I don't think whether she's gonna be the provider and sign the lease or somebody else is holding that, I don't think that is fair to the people that are building the building, because it's my understanding they need to meet these deadlines to apply for the $750,000. And I think,
Jay, are you saying that at the next meeting, if the grant is completed and all elements of the grant are all the boxes are checked, then we as a commission will have a chance to vote on whether or not to submit it? Is that what you're saying? Are we just giving you permission for Point Forward to apply for it at this point?
It's just giving Point Forward the permission to actually make the application. All right.
But the application will come back to us before it's submitted.
It
And
has
it's
to.
for
It has
But the
daycare.
document,
You have to accept if the grant is awarded, which there's no guarantee. If it is awarded, you will have to accept it, all right, formally accept it, or not, if you choose not to.
But this application is specifically for a daycare to be put in.
That's
We're talking
correct.
about.
But the providers, it's for a building that will provide daycare for
Okay.
or childcare.
Right.
And there's multiple providers that can do that.
And
It's not-
this money is capital. It's not operational for childcare.
No, it's for building.
the building.
It's for the building.
Yeah.
the
So-
documents say Harmony Childcare
Yeah,
that we were presented.
then it may not be them, all right? It may be someone
And
else.
it has to, I know it has to be a childcare facility, because that's what the money's set aside for, but the documents say Harmony Childcare,
They do, because that was the provider we were negotiating with originally.
all right?
But it doesn't necessarily have to be them.
I want to second Chuck's motion to table it.
So what will that, we've had the public hearing. We've met that. So
I have to check and see if we still have time in the last commission meeting to do it.
If you don't have to turn it in till May the 1st, I think our next meeting should be in the parameters.
I'd have to look at and
it's
get with
the
our grant
Department of Commerce. They're very confusing on their grants.
I'd have to
Are
check.
you able to check?
Oh, well, yeah, but necessarily right now.
No, I understand that, no.
Well, my thoughts are if this daycare provider, you said there's others out there waiting for this,
We have other options for providers.
we don't know the other options.
We have.
We don't know also, we don't know who the person is that doesn't want it.
Yeah, I do.
You do, but the commission does not.
What's in the documents right here?
Right,
It's in the documents, you should know.
well,
Wouldn't there have to be a signed lease before you submitted your grant on May
Yes.
1st?
Yes.
But, I mean, I think that's the issue.
Think
The
that's the
question
important
is
part.
there anything we're gonna do today by holding this or passing it that's gonna change that? The hearing's been held, and now you're on the hook, point forward, to go out and find a leaser to sign that or not. We don't have to approve that, Jay? Is that what you're saying?
is Kim looking up the,
We don't have to necessarily choose a specific provider at this point.
We would just need to accept the grant if it was awarded at some time in the future. But as far as the public notice that had to happen in the newspaper regarding the public hearing, that was met today, and that's where we had the scheduling issue with the grant, and it needed to be today and not in a week or 2 weeks. I believe that's correct.
That's my understanding. According to Susan Gilmore, who's writing the grant, works for the state of Kansas, May 1st is the deadline. There's several parameters we have to meet in order to qualify for the grant. She's still checking on the lease. It's gonna be a long time, not a long time, but it's gonna be several months before the building is occupiable for any operator to operate a daycare facility. When we set this up to Point Forward, we made the presentation that Point Forward, a nonprofit organization, is going to own the building and then will outsource the operations to another provider. And that would provide some guarantees to the community that the building and premises is going to be a daycare facility for a long period of time. We've already made a lot of presentations to a lot of donors in Pittsburgh. We've raised 70% of what we need to raise to renovate the facility. Since we started this process, a lot of different providers have come up to us and wanted to be a provider going forward. If anything happens to the existing provider, that she changes her mind that she does not want to be a provider at this particular facility. So we've identified 4 major ones that want to fill the gap as being a provider of this facility, going forward. And we're going to start visiting with them starting tomorrow. We're confident that we're going to raise the funds to finish the Washington School for a daycare center for a long period of time, and we're also confident that we're going to find a provider that will provide top-notch services to the facility. Our schematics are done for the building. I'll be glad to pass around some of these here renditions of what the building's going to look like in the premise. We're starting construction estimates here within the next couple of weeks. But as far as this CDBG grant, there's only $3 million available for the state of Kansas. As of right now, there's no one else from southeast Kansas that's prepared to make an application for this grant. We're meeting that deadline tonight in order to meet that May 1st application timeline. If we pass on it tonight, Pittsburgh's probably going to pass on it, period. And there won't be any state grants to Pittsburgh, Kansas for a daycare facility going forward. There's no guarantee we're going to get it, but we feel like we're in really good position since we have all the schematics already done, the drawings all done, and no one else has started the process of making a grant application.
So my understanding, you have to have at least signed.
Susan's still checking on that, on whether or not that has to be done by May 1st, or exactly what the time
Who's checking
frame
on
is.
the state person?
So,
The state person?
The person who's right, yeah.
yeah, she works for the state of Kansas, so she's
I
checking.
think we're closing in on the deadline. It seems like there's a lot of questions that has not been answered.
Well, there is right now one question that's not been answered, and that's who the operator's going to be. That is the question.
Well, I mean, we've had one presented to us for a month or more, and then we come down to the time to approve submitting this grant, and that person might not be in there.
Yeah, that person-
I hope.
It's really,
I'm all about daycare for the city of Pittsburgh. I think it's much needed, but
We're really disappointed too. We've been working on this here, Mr. Mansell, for well over a year with this potential operator. We've talked to other potential operators, but she was the first one that came to the table.
I've
And-
talked to her well over a year with her plans.
So we're
also.
disappointed, we actually are, and we wish her the best on whatever path she goes forward. But it was brought to our attention just here in the last couple of days, and we're moving forward with other potential operators. And we're gonna be, and it may still be her, we don't know, we're not ruling that out. But we're gonna have other operators ready to go when the facility is done.
And we
I
certainly
agree.
don't want to forego the potential to bring in a $750,000 grant. That's what we don't want, we want to avoid missing that opportunity, particularly for this project.
So if we approve this tonight, and by May first, you don't have a lease, we just don't submit.
That's correct.
But if we.
Well, Susan's still checking on that and
Well,
when.
I know, but.
Yeah, right,
but
right, right.
that's one scenario.
Well,
Correct.
CDBG, last I talked to her just an hour or so ago, this is a new process for them.
Right.
They fully aware that the lease may not need to be signed by May first. But what they would do is they would put in their memorandum of understanding is that if there's not a good lease signed, then the grant will not be funded.
Right. Okay.
Or the grant may not be funded anyway.
Right,
Or it may not.
right. I mean, we've applied for a couple others.
But it'd be a
this year.
shame for the city of Pittsburgh to not at least make an application for it, since we've got 1,045 open spaces that need to be filled. So it's not just Point Forward, it's not this operator that's gonna solve all of those, we need several to do that. And at this point in time, Point Forward is further along with schematics and all the other requirements that CDBG's wanting.
So I agree with you, Ron, we do need childcare. But at this point in time, there's just too many.
There's one.
Unanswered questions.
There's one.
Too many unanswered questions for me to
Okay.
vote to approve this.
So I think what I'm hearing is we essentially kill the opportunity for $750,000 to possibly be awarded to your project, to.
Or any project probably in southeast Kansas.
Yeah, so, I mean, I can't in good faith stand in the way of doing that, but I do agree with Commissioner Mansell and Commissioner Brooks about, I think we need to know. We don't have to know, but I do think, I mean, if that's a disqualifier, that you don't have a tenant to submit it, then obviously you won't be able to submit, and this is all a moot point. But, I mean, I support the moving forward for the application part, but I mean, we do technically have a motion and a second to table it, but I would, not letting $750,000 get away, I don't know if it's appropriate time to do it, but I would also move that we do approve this tonight to move forward for the grant application,
We have to
even though
vote.
we don't have a
Well,
tenant.
let me do it. We have a motion and we have a second. Now, somebody has to withdraw the motion for us to redo another motion. So Chuck, you have to withdraw your motion.
I don't have a signed lease.
Well, I have a question. I have read through this. I've highlighted a lot of things. It's always been Harmony. The documents stayed Harmony all the way through. I mean, anything I've ever done as far as a contract or anything that we've ever had come through the city, in the words of Patrick O'Brien, the Ts were crossed, the Is were dotted, everything is on here stating Harmony, and I'm
Commissioner, we
against.
totally agree with you. And we're
If the
disappointed.
documents were different, I'd have no problem with it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to agree to the documents as they stand right now.
But you're not asking us, you're asking us for the potential to submit, not necessarily these documents.
That's correct.
We would
Well-
need to see what you are going to submit at our next meeting.
Yes,
Yes. So,
I
but,
would agree with that.
yeah.
well, but we have to do this. We have to do this in order for that to happen.
You're exactly right, yeah, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
that's where the hangup is, because we don't have anyone signed document that they're going to lease it.
Okay.
Ron says we do have people out there. I don't know if we do or not.
You've
Jay?
got 2 weeks to pull it together.
Well, do we have to wait 2 weeks? Can you pull the documents together with the proper information? And we could have a special meeting of sorts and do that? Or
I mean,
is
I don't
that,
have-
anything's possible, isn't it?
I think so, yes.
But if we approve this, we've met the burden of a public comments.
Yes.
For the bill, for the site, for childcare at that site. Then you figure out who's gonna be the lease, and you come back on the 25th. If we don't want you to do it, then you don't do it.
There's gonna be several opportunities for you guys to vote against it going forward, rather than just this one here. So this is the first public input on it. So there's gonna be, I think, 2 more presentations before it's finalized, so.
But we only meet once. But we only meet once. So when you say there's 2 more opportunities, you're saying maybe our next meeting, and then when we're awarded the grant, to accept it or not? Okay.
Yeah, because it's gonna be, I don't think they're gonna make a decision in the next 4 weeks of who's gonna be, approved for it. It's gonna take a while for the state of Kansas to get around that. So, by that time is why we're confident we'll have an operator there, whether it be this person or someone else. I can't say exactly who it's going to be, but we've identified, we've actually got 5 on our short list. But of those 5, we're gonna start the talks tomorrow with 4 of them.
Well, then I would say by next meeting, you should have that number narrowed down to 1, and then come back with it, and I don't.
Well, I hope so, Mr. Mansell, I really hope so. We've actually got longer than that before the grant is awarded, and a long time before the building's ready. We've been working on this for well over a year now, and we thought we were there, we really were. But, things change, unfortunately they do. We were just informed of it ourselves. We heard it on the street ourselves.
Well, I'd like to see who you have to replace who you had before, and what their plan is, their design, you should have all that then.
Well, the schematics and the drawings on the school's probably not gonna change. It'll be just who the operator is.
Well, you should have that by next commission meeting, and then we might move forward from there.
I think we still have to do this.
I think you have to do this
We have to
tonight.
do this
I think
tonight.
here's the only question I see, to Cheryl's point. 1266 doesn't name Harmony at all. That's one of the resolutions that's supposed to be acted on after this. The next one is 1267, and in all of 1267, the only place I see Harmony is whereas the annual blank budget has been determined to be adequate to fund the operation and maintenance of the child care improvements. That's where it says Harmony Child Care. I don't know that we can, I mean, how do we adopt this? I mean, do we just leave that blank? Do we fill it in? I mean,
Page 55 does.
that's what I'm suggesting is, unless somebody's misses it, I'm flipping through, I don't see
Page
Harmony.
55,
let me throw one other
Harmony's on
thing out.
55.
Do we have to do both of these resolutions tonight? Or do we do the one that says we are interested in applying for this grant? And then this one?
Harmony's on 47, 55,
47 is the one I just read.
yeah,
55.
55.
Okay, at the top, thanks, Cheryl. Is
And-
anywhere else? I'm just trying to make sure we know what we're changing it for. And Ron, you were getting ready to say something about,
And-
Yeah, when we heard this on the street, we went to the major donors that have already committed and some have written checks. And we explained the situation to them. And they said to us, our support for this project is the Washington School renovation for a child care facility, not for whoever the operator is. We're here supporting Point Forward to own the premises, to give us some type of guarantee that that's going to be a child care facility for a long period of time.
I'm going to ask someone, or I'm going to call the question myself. We have to vote on the Mansell
motion.
motion and the second.
I have one more question.
Nope. I think we're done with that because I called the question already. Tammy, roll call vote, please.
Brooks,
No,
Height,
Wait,
Wait,
what are we,
we're
what are we
voting
voting?
to table
To
this.
table.
to take, oh, okay.
No.
we're vo-
No,
Yes,
you're voting on the,
yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, my misunderstanding,
voting on the
yes,
motion to table it.
yes.
Height,
No.
McNay,
No.
Munsell,
Yes.
Sigley.
No. Okay, so that motion is gone. So the next step would be you come back at the next meeting and we do this over?
No, we have to
No,
vote.
I would go back to I would move that we do move forward, to agree to let them apply for the grant.
Okay, then
That's
we'll need
my
a,
motion.
we'll need a motion. Second?
Second?
Been moved and seconded that we move forward. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed by the same vote? No vote? Okay. So we'll move forward.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll see you at our next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, next item of business is to consider the following Raven Copeland LLC project. Consider the recommendation of the Economic Development Advisory Committee to reimburse Raven Copeland LLC 10% of the total project costs associated with renovation of the dilapidated property located at 106 West Third Street with the city's investment not to exceed $25,300.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission. As you just stated, Mr. Mayor, the Economic Development Advisory Committee entertained a request last week, as a matter of fact, from Raven Copeland, who's here with us tonight. Raven, under his business name Raven Copeland Properties LLC, and I want to point that out because if there is any commission action tonight, we would ask that it be for Raven Copeland Properties LLC. But they purchased the building that you see on the screen here. It's, as you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, 106 West 3rd Street, so just a block east of the Law Enforcement Center here. Total project value is $253,000. So the EDAC did issue a recommendation. I'll talk about that in just a moment, but I wanted to ask Mr. Copeland to come up and just give us a little bit about his vision for the building and what the direction is moving forward. And then we'll talk about the EDAC recommendation.
Hello, thank you for seeing me today. So I moved to Pittsburgh 2 years ago, and I wanted to find a place that I could open an art studio. We looked around town, and my partner here in town always loved this building. She had an opportunity to buy it 15 years ago when it was on the market, and she wasn't able to. We weren't able to at that time. So I contacted the owner and was able to work out a deal to purchase it. After purchasing it, I got, there we go.
Oh, wow.
I got in there and saw how much work it needed. This last picture is the worst one.
It's the worst.
It was in bad shape, so needless to say, there was a lot of work to be done, and but I was willing to take it on, and so we've done some work on it. We had to redo all the electric and plumbing and tuck pointing of the whole building. There was an article about it in the paper last week. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I just wanted to make a correction on that the total income from all of the units and the downstairs will be $2,000, not $2,000 per unit, like the article in the paper said.
I was wondering.
Yeah, no, I'm not, no, the permits are gonna be $500 a piece per month, not 2,000, so. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I don't really know what else to say.
Do you have a time frame that you're
I'm
looking for?
hoping to, I wanna do a soft opening in August if possible, but by the end of the year, I'd like to do like a grand opening in November or December.
And I think I read in the paper that you already are part of the arts community, and there's individuals that have had an interest in.
Yeah, I have a ceramic artist, she's ready to open up in the front storefront section, and then my workshop will be in the back section. She's gonna do a little gallery space and be open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 kind of situation, open to the public, and she's, we're both gonna teach classes and rent out space to artists that wanna come and work there.
Thank you.
I have one question. Is there going to be a kiln?
Yes, sir.
And
And-
and you've taken that into account, the fire suppression unit?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Super.
Good question.
Is there no further questions? I move to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve this project. All move forward by saying aye.
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 Thank you, guys.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank
Aye.
you.
Non-agenda reports and requests.
Nothing from staff.
Nothing from staff, okay. We're moving forward with our Spruce Up Pittsburgh. We're having another meeting tomorrow. Hope to gather up neighborhoods and move forward on this. And I must commend the people out there who have already done a great deal. I can tell just driving around that things are actually looking cleaner, so people are taking this pretty seriously. For those who are not, please do so. If you're having problems, let us know. We'll get you some help from somewhere. That's all I have to say. Call for adjournment.
I moved to adjourn.
Second.
We move to second to adjourn. All agree?